Hi, Rachel. Talking to Rachel from Rachel's over in another part of Brisbane. She's the author of Underspent and a change maker. So, how are you adapting to being at home and this ongoing change period?
I'm actually okay because I've been working at home for the last 18 months. And actually, I grew up in a really rural area. So we never really, we made our own entertainment as kids. So, we'd ride our bikes around the local country lanes and you'd go and find some farm kids to play with. So probably my childhood has me very well adapted to isolation.
Mm. Well, that's great. That's a big win. We can talk perhaps more about your life experiences in a minute, but just wondering how your business has how you've pivoted that to the changed circumstance in the outside world.
Yeah, so I have two businesses. My first business is a transport planning and infrastructure advisory consultancy, and I'm completely changing that. So I'm going back to my core skills, which were demand management and behavior change. So I'm in a really, really big, busy reinvention phase with that. So working really long hours, doing all of that, but it's really exciting. And my second business is Underspent, which is about helping people to break the habit of impulse or compulsive shopping. But basically my work is at the intersection of UN Goal 11 and UN Goal 12, which is sustainable cities and communities and responsible consumption and production. So everything that I do aligns with those two UN goals.
Mm. So your skills and experience are enabling you to constantly evolve, aren't they? I mean, that's definitely would keeps you nimble.
Absolutely. And I've got a small business. It's just me and my accountant on the payroll. So very, very agile. I work from home. So no big overheads and, obviously insurances and things, but not huge costs, which is
And
good.
probably also it's very electronically enabled, the work too.
Absolutely. Most of my work, I've been working overseas actually, mostly for the last 18 months, which is a hindrance now, obviously, but mostly interstate and overseas. So lots of work in New Zealand, New South Wales, Singapore, the UK.
Mm. So how's the crisis elevated your awareness of resources we need to live and, waste and the circular economy and reusing?
So I would say two things really, what I've observed in others and then what I've done myself. So what I've observed in others is we've had a huge consumer boom. I think many of us thought this would be a time for sharing and reusing and repurposing, but actually what we've seen is that people are spending more than they've ever spent previously. Sales are up sleepwear sales are up 1,100%. Beauty products are up 400%. Homewares and entertainments are up 390%. So, and someone made a really good point yesterday that people are buying the perfect home. So rather than where people have been allowed to take maybe their laptop or their screens home to work at home, people haven't done that. They've gone and bought a new setup for their own home office. But what I've observed in myself is that my waste and my resources are really, really reduced. Last year, I did an experiment where I stored all of my waste, basically all my recycling and my, everything that would normally have gone in the bin or the recycling I stored. And so I saw that within like a week, the average household is throwing away a lot of stuff. So I've really brought my waste back. It's next to nothing now. Secondly, I'm from my own side of things, I'm really problem solving. I was always a big problem solver, but now I'm a kind of out of the box thinking problem solver, where if I want to do something or change something, I'm like, right, what resources are there in the house? that can be used or adapted or modified. And thirdly, I've been buying a lot less food because my fridge was making a huge ugly noise. Now it's like gone super cold, so it's on its way to the tip, unfortunately. But so whilst it's in that kind of breaking down stage, I've been buying a lot less food because it's been freezing stuff in the fridge. So being really mindful of purchases and going to the greengrocers, the local greengrocers that I can walk to, and really using everything up. So I've cleared out the freezer. So being really resourceful, I would say.
Mm. And obviously this does come from your background and your experience growing up as well. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that, how that's enabling you to cope?
Yeah, so two things. I grew up in a country area, and it was a really self-contained small market town that I lived in. I used to spend a lot of time with my grandparents on their farm. My grandma couldn't drive, so you know, she planned ahead. They grew all their own veg. They had their own milk and their own meat. And then in 2014, I didn't buy anything new or secondhand for a year. So I guess I know how to be content with what I've got, to problem solve, and to use up what I've already got.
Mm. And how do you break up your day? What's your routine and your strategies for, you know, staying motivated when you're home alone?
So I'm not a morning person. I really struggle in the mornings. So in the normal world, I did most of my shallow work. So emails, invoicing, telephone calls, all of that kind of stuff in the morning. And then in the afternoon is my deep work, my thinking, my report writing, strategic work. During COVID-19, I've kind of scrapped my schedule. So I found that I was putting too much pressure on myself. You know, everyone else was doing 2 bike rides a day and yoga classes. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do what's right for me and go with the flow. So the mornings are, I just kind of see how I feel and do what I want to do. And in the afternoons, I'm doing all of my reinvention work. I found in the beginning that, you know, you got invited to so many webinars and seminars. There was so much noise and it was really overwhelming. And now I'm just sticking with the people who are my trusted experts prior to COVID-19, people who give me real value.
Mm. And in terms of everyday resourcefulness or action, I know you've got a little garden, and you know, how are you being hands-on, and those sort of homemaking activities in a way, are they helping you get through?
Yeah, so I've been cooking a lot more. So I was at home and cooked from scratch anyway. I've been doing more kind of baking, as in like apple crumbles and things. I've gone to having 2 cooked meals a day. So having a cooked meal at lunchtime and in the evening, and a lot more kind of pottering around, I guess, doing like little DIY jobs and cleaning, and yeah, a lot more kind of making, crafting, that kind of stuff, but practical things.
Is working with your hands, you know, do you enjoy that? Is it soothing?
I used to go to a clay class every week, every Tuesday evening, you know, and we do like our pottery. And I really enjoyed that. I guess it was also like a woman's circle as well. So we talk about all kinds of things. So I really do miss that. So that I've tried to bring that kind of the things that I would do at pottery into kind of everyday life as well. Because I think actually doing work with your hands is really important.
Mm. And what's your best piece of advice, you know, for people in terms of dealing with this and what might be ahead as well?
Don't compare yourself to anyone else. And that's, I guess, one of the key messages from my Underspent book and, you know, my work in consumerism and shopping. I think it's really easy to fall into that trap of comparing yourselves yourself with others, you know, what they might have bought, what they might have got, what you think they earn. And I think that's a really big issue at the moment. So lots of people have got a permanent job and nothing has really changed for them. It's easy to look on social media and see people with secure employment, you know, doing 2 bike rides a day, going and buying a takeaway coffee. You know, it looks like they're having the time of their life. I'm sure they're not, but I think it's really easy to see that superficial curated story on social media of how other people are living their life, you know, with the perfect evenings, doing jigsaw puzzles and, you know, cooking and having family dinners. And so people are like, oh, you know, those people are doing that, I should do that too. And I compare it to Christmas. Everyone thinks that everyone else is having the perfect Marks and Spencer's Christmas and nothing is going wrong. But in reality, everyone's family Christmas is very different to the next family. So just enjoy your lockdown period, live your life, what's right for you and your values and your passions and your purpose, and don't compare yourself to others.
That's really great advice, Rachel. Thanks for that. And just in terms of the bigger future, I mean, I know you're really great at big picture thinking. So what sort of cultural, social, economic changes do you see ahead for Australia and the world?
I'd like to see us planning for modern lifestyles and for a better society. I'd like us, or my business is focused on changing the way that we use government resources, services and infrastructure. I'd like demand management to be the legacy of COVID-19, where we're really looking at what the existing and future problems are, where the spare capacity and how we can redistribute the demand. You know, maybe we'll look at why have 400 houses in a suburb each got a lawnmower and a chainsaw, and, you know, start sharing more. I don't know whether we're going to see a huge consumer boom or we're going to see a sharing boom. It's really hard right now to see or to predict where things might go. But I guess we're likely in a L-shaped recession, which means we're going to have an 18-month kind of plateau or slowdown. And I think we've been given a gift of time, and we shouldn't waste the opportunity to stop and to reflect and reset our own lives, our communities, our government services and infrastructure, and almost start again. But whether that will happen, I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's really great note to end on, Rachel. So I guess it's really about, you know, watch this space and see what happens. There's certainly going to be some kind of new normal, isn't there, eventually?
And I think it's really important for those of us who are change makers or leaders to really share the knowledge and the information that we've got to inspire community members, so that they say, actually, rather than just following the norm, this person over here or these people over here have got a really good idea. Why don't we do that instead? So I think it's up to for us as change makers or rule breakers or leaders to really share everything that we know to ignite the fuse for change.
Mm. And it can happen at every level too. Sometimes we're sort of really looking to government at the moment to lead, but I think you can lead from anywhere in society, can't you?
And I think I heard a really good quote from one of the fire captains from the Australian bushfires. And he said, you know, Shane Fitzsimmons, the Rural Fire Service Commissioner, really was the picture of leadership, where he had the right messaging, he made the right moves, he was strong and a leader at the right time, he was compassionate at the right time. And I think we should all have a bit of Shane Fitzsimmons in us to lead the change that we want to see.
Mm. Thanks so much for those insights, Rachel. Great to hear from you, and we'll see you another time in person.
Thank you for having me.